sacred moments. Sacred moments with you. Sacred moments. Yeah. Enter in sacred moments. I'm here in this space on this day with you. I'm here in this sacred space witnessing the morning dew. Sacred moments. In voice and in victory, we will share our thoughtful view, conversing and even challenging things we thought we knew. Sacred moments. With expectancy and excitement is this time set aside. Won't you enter in with us? And come on, let's take this ride. Riding the waves of wonder and whimsy. We're not here to do silly or flimsy. We're sacred moments. We are here open to listen and engage and converse. You know I'm going to keep the triune God in sight and first. I'm here with you on this holy mountain of meaning, sharing vowels and syllables, discussing powerful gleanings. It's sacred moments. With songs and sonnets and poems and prose, this is not just another one of those radio shows. It's sacred moments. It's sacred moments with me as your host, here to clear and create and commune with you from coast to coast. It's sacred moments. Enter. We are back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
Quite lovely this morning.
Thank you.
Red is my favorite color.
You know what? It's my least favorite color, but I always look cute with red, so I just go with it.
It's a power color.
Yeah.
Vibrant, which we need. I mean, I have on black again. I need to get some. Well, I have some in audience. I don't know if you can see my fabulous earrings. But I have these red earrings on that look like an old album.
They're cute. I like them.
I think they're cute too. I needed some color, so here we go. Yes. Good morning, audience. I'm still trying to get like a song to sing every Sunday. It's more like, good morning, it's sacred moments. But I really need something a little bit more up to date. I need more like a rap song or something.
You did say you want to rap.
Yeah. I would love to embarrass my grandchildren by doing a whole rap, getting a cap, putting it on backwards, and just rocking it out.
Oh my God. I can't with the cap. That's gonna be too much for me. I was with you open to the cap on backwards.
Put a cap on back. And I might invite like your mom and Miss Esther, and we could be like runners DMC or runners LME.
Okay.
I'm way out. You see what happens when we take a week off. We come back and we're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Audience, we have missed you. We were away for 1 week and we needed to do some things that we were able to do, and we are happy to be back. We missed you for the week, and I hope you missed us as well. We love being with you on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. for Sacred Moments. It is definitely a time where we can converse, where we can talk about matters of relationship, of faith, of honesty, of authenticity, and just hear your comments and share. We're always happy to see you see you posting on our various sites. And we hope today, especially, that you do post and ask questions and put comments in, because we're going to have a really, really good topic. But we always start off asking each other, how are we? So we are going to do that. We want to know how you are, audience. So put that in the chat. But I always want to know how my co-host, one of my spiritual daughters, is who is the producer and owner of this radio show. How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm a lot better. This week was busy, but I'm back on the grind. So I'm back to my normal busy self.
Now, we talked a little bit at our last show about, making sure that we have balance, that we don't just run ourselves in. Are you working on that at all?
Yeah. I have so many things that I want to do. My to-do list was like, this long, if you can see. But I have like 4 things on there now that I'm just working on. Like I just broke everything up into like quarters and when I want to do it. So I'm not trying to run and do everything. And like I said, I'm just saying no more. Like I don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it. A lot of things I was doing just to, please other people, but now, no.
Yeah. I've been actually thinking a little bit about that myself this week, especially. And I think it is courageous and healthy to know the balance of yes and no, and not to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because I would say no with a lot of like, no, because I got this on my schedule, or no, because I got it. It's always like I was explaining that no.
Yeah.
And I have to say no to something this week, some things that are coming up, in order to say yes to the things that are going to be healthy for me. But it takes a little bit of practice, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm like, no.
Mhm.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Audience, how are you about saying yes or no? Do you find it hard to say yes, or do you find it hard to say no, or either or? Do you find out that sometimes you say yes to things that you know that you shouldn't, and then no to things that you should have? So I think I'm trying to say, what's your balance there?
Yeah. You have balance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, something for us to think about. Well, this morning we are back with another one of my spiritual, I don't know if she's a spiritual daughter or a little sister. It just depends on how old we are. But I do say daughter because she calls me mother, for that spirit. Um, and her name, I'm going to give her title as well, Nurse Nichole Turner. Although we're not necessarily talking about nursing, we're going to tap on that, but we're going to be talking about singleness. And very good topic. This is not just a topic for women. And let me make a disclaimer. This is not a show where we are bashing men at all. We're just talking about being single. So if you're a male and you're on listening, we love to hear your point of view, really would. But we are just talking about being single. So if you're married, if you're currently single because you're divorced or widowed or never married, it's a conversation that we can all have. We're going to talk with my spiritual daughter, Nichole, nurse. I call her nurse because she is nurse Nichole Turner. And we may actually have a few people that will be chiming in on this topic. So we're going to be happy to receive them if we can get them in the room as well. If not, we can hear their voice. We're working that out as we are talking right now. But for the moment right now, we're going to ask for Nichole Turner to come on in the room, and we're going to chat with her for a few minutes and see what we're going to talk about today, the topic of singleness. Come on in the room.
So we're going to bring Nichole in, and we also have a special guest that you can introduce. I see her on there as well.
Oh, good. All right. Our special guest has popped on. This is wonderful. Another one of my children, Lord have mercy. They're piling up. Her name is Mezeran, and I mean, she is just a firecracker. She has a lot to say about a lot of things. She is intelligent. She is exciting, and she is sitting in the dark a little
I
bit.
know. I should probably turn the light on, right? I look a mess.
We're going to get some lighting on her, and we're going to have her come on in the room as well. So while we are waiting for her to bring in the light of the world, I'm going to sing at least 1 or 2 times during the show. Y'all just go ahead and put up with me. There she is, looking absolutely beautiful, looking like her son. That's all I'm going to say. And we're going to just have this conversation. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to talk about what it means to be single?
Speaking of,
okay, listen. First, before I get started, I want to just tell you a little bit about Nichole in reference to nursing. Well, Nichole has had a relationship with the Lord for a very, very long time. She said she started walking with the Lord at age 26. She grew up with me, actually, in the sense of we grew up at the same church, as well as Mezeran did, Church of Redeemer Baptist, and she served in a lot of ways. Interesting enough, so we're talking about being single. She served on the women's ministry, Girl Scouts, and the marriage ministry. And if I'm not mistaken, you were one of the leaders of the marriage ministry at the time.
Yeah. How about that?
So here we are. But she is also a nurse practitioner who really believes that people deserve quality health care. And it's afforded that opportunity, and also for us to take responsibility for our own health care. She has this really sincere desire to assist her patients in the process of navigating the healthcare system, which we know can be daunting. She really enjoys traveling. Every now and then I see pictures of her in foreign places all over the world, smiling. Sometime when you're single, you can just pop on a plane, I guess, and just, head to Dubai. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on that process. But she does serving in many capacities. So welcome. How are you today?
I am well. A little nervous, but I'm good.
All right. Well, you're looking well, and you don't look nervous at all. Mezeran, how are you feeling today? We're going to ask that.
Mezeran went and got a friend.
Listen, when you single, you can just pop up and do your hair any kind of way you want to. I don't know.
Wait a minute, because I looked down for a second and I looked back. It's a whole new person on the screen.
We got an extra guest.
Lipstick and everything, yes.
I didn't know I was going to be on camera, or else I would have gotten a little bit more presentable, but I'm here.
You're quite presentable, and you can when you can just work that thing, like, give me 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes. Go ahead, top model. So you're doing well today?
Yes, I am. Thanks for asking.
Now you're interested in the topic of singleness as well, right?
Yes.
So I want to say something here.
Okay.
Nichole, it must have been a couple months ago. You put a meme on your Facebook page, and it was like, wow, yes. And the meme said, well, first of all, it was a sister girl with hips like me. She was laying on the floor. So when everybody get this scene, she was laying on the floor, smiling. I think she was like talking on the phone. She had her feet on the couch. So she was just chilling.
Feet up, yes.
Her feet up, looked like it was a sunshiny day. And the meme said, stop assuming single women are unhappy.
Yes, it's true.
Now, I stopped when I read that, and I was like, we got to talk about this. What made you post that?
I think I was at a space and place where I'm content. Um, I'm happy, like I'm good, whether I'm in relationship or not. I'm good, and I, well, I do desire a relationship, but I'm also at a completely different place, in my life where I'm okay with or without. And I was like, yeah, I like that because the mean, she was very casual. She was doing her thing. You could see some books or whatever she was enjoying that day. And I was like, yeah, that's me. I like that. And I posted it. It resonated with me. It resonated with me, the whole scene. Just very casual, doing whatever she enjoyed doing. And it's like, okay, I'm good. Like, I think it's very important to be happy within yourself before you even think about being in relationship with somebody else. You, it's just you got to be content. You got to be good with you, and there's nothing wrong with being alone. I think it's just somewhat liberating.
Yes.
What do you want to add to that, Messeron?
The whole time she was talking, I'm just thinking about all the things that I've gotten accomplished while being single. You know, being single is a ministry within itself. It allows me time, like she said, to focus on myself. I've been able to start a business. I went to school twice. You know, I've gotten a lot of things accomplished without having a distraction. I've been able to travel. You know, I can come home if my son is not here. I can eat peanut butter for dinner. I don't have to worry about cooking. You know, those small little things are the good parts about being single. So I don't know where the stigma came from that you have to have a man or be in a relationship to be happy, because it's so untrue. There is happiness in singleness also. And everybody's not meant to be in a relationship. Some people will die never being married or never being in a relationship, and that's okay. They can still thrive in life.
Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, now
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just let me add this. So, I was married for almost 16 years. So I didn't wake up and be at this point. I had to work to get to the place of being content, being single. And it took a minute. It took a minute, a long minute. How about that? It took a long minute to get to that place, but I'm happy that I'm here. I'm happy. I'm good.
How long have you been single?
Almost off and on, almost 4 years.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just had
So
a
what?
conversation with my friend last night. I'm married now. I was also divorced, so this is my second marriage. But I was just saying it's hard being married because you kind of like you were saying, you have to consider other people's feelings all the time. And that, not to sound selfish, but sometimes you just want to do what you want to do without considering somebody else. Like if you don't feel like cooking, or you just don't, you could just go to bed, but now you're looking at somebody else who's looking at you like, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do? And it's like, I want to lay down. Like, I want to watch Netflix.
Right. I ate already.
Yeah, like I'm good. So I think I see the blessing in being single, I guess because I'm married. And I'm like, hey, and when my father passed away, I used to always mess with my mom about her. Don't bring no Mr. Charles in here playing with her. But I used to always be, playing with her. But she was like, I'm good. Like, I ain't got to cook for nobody. I ain't got to worry. If I don't feel like cleaning up, I ain't got to clean up. And I like kind of envy that a little bit. Like, yeah, that is true. Now you got to be like, well, how do you feel? Well, I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Like, it's annoying.
I think it's blessings to both. To both. I do feel like after you're single for a certain amount of time, like I enjoy my own space. Sometimes I look around at my own stuff and be like, yeah, who you got? Like, how you gonna give up all of this? All of this? How you gonna fit somebody? You gotta make room for somebody. And I'm like, I don't know if um sometimes I'm like, I kind of like this because I do when I get ready, I get up and go. If I want to travel, I don't have a problem traveling by myself.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem doing movies by myself, going to concerts by myself, doing dinner by myself. I feel free to do that. I'm not saying I don't get lonely, um, but I don't know. It's just a different space and place for me, and I didn't believe that I would get here, but no, it's not a bad place to be. It's just it's I don't know. It's something to that. I think you get to hear your own voice.
Mhm.
You get to fine tune who you are. You get to spend more time with God. There's no, like Measuron was saying earlier, that Measuron, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. It's just quiet. You
Mhm.
spend more time with God. Um, you hear your own voice. You move at your own speed. It's not. It's not a bad thing. It's
Mhm.
just not a bad thing.
Somebody asked a question. Brenda said, "Is it easier to work towards contentment and singleness when one has already been married or been in a long-term relationship?"
I
Well,
think
I think it
Mezzanine can
depends on
answer that.
I think it
And
depends on what you desire. If you've already been in a relationship, the first question is, do you desire to be in another relationship or do you desire to be single? Because that's going to depend on the approach. If you desire to be single, then you would act like you want to be single. You focus on yourself, you pour into yourself, you pour into your relationship with the Lord. If you want to be in a relationship again or ultimately desire to get married again, then you would act accordingly. You can still pour into yourself and spend time with the Lord and all of that other stuff, but you have to also put yourself out there in a way that people can approach you and you can be found. No one's going to find you
Mm,
sitting in the house every day watching Netflix, but you can be found going to the gym, going to the supermarket, going to the theater, going on vacation. You never know where you may meet somebody. So it really just depends on what path you want to take in life.
Do you
I
think it's
think that's
a culture thing? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Do you think it's like a cultural thing? As I read somewhere, I can't remember the article, that like white women are raised basically to be wives, like they're groomed to be wives, whereas black women are basically like raised to be independent, take care of yourself. So it's
Mm.
easier for you, as a black woman to kind of accept the fact that, okay, whether you were in a relationship or not, I'm single now, let me embrace that. Where white women are kind of like looking for that husband family structure, or do you think it's just because of who you are, like the individual person?
I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a familial thing. I know for me, growing up, my grandmother from a very young age taught me how to cook, taught me how to clean, how to sew, things like that. And back then, I didn't like it, but as I've gotten older, I realized these are the things that are essential to run a household, and not just having a husband.
mm.
But I have a almost 17-year-old son who needs to be taken care of. So I don't think it's a cultural thing because black women are
No, I
raised to
don't either.
have husbands. It depends on what you see growing up. I
Mm-hmm.
was raised in a family where there were a lot of single women. They desired to have husbands, but a lot of them just ultimately didn't get married. But if you grew up in a family where you're raised in a two-parent household, everyone is married, then you probably would gravitate a little bit more towards that. My mother
Hmm.
was a single mother almost all of my life. So I saw a strong black independent woman that was able to go to work and handle things and hold the household down.
Mm.
So I had to automatically do that when I got older and became of age to have my own family. So I think it's based
So
on.
I grew up with two sides. So my mom was a single parent,
Mm,
but we lived with my aunt who was married. So like my aunt was more like my grandmother because she was like almost 30 years older than my mom. So like, and so her and her husband were like my grandparents. So I saw in some sense what it was like to see that, he died when I was 6, so that ended. But I think that what I got mad about is that I never was a person that actually wanted to be married. So, like, I
Mm.
thought I should get married. This is a fallacy that
mm,
when I got married, I kind of thought, well, you know what, girl, it's right time for you to get married. You done ran around, You did what you wanted to do, when you wanted to do it, how you wanted to do it. And I had 2 children at the time, but I still like boys and men. And so, okay, we paint that picture. But then I got married. And then my marriage ended. And now I'm single. And I was like mad with my own self because I ain't never really wanted to be married in the beginning. So
Right.
I'm like, dang, and it's going to end, you know. But like Nichole, I had to learn. I think in my singleness, I've learned more about myself as a human being. I learned more about myself as a woman, about what I like and what I don't like, what fits and what doesn't fit. But that, and I'm, speaking to the question that Brenda put up, that was, like Nichole said, for me, a very long journey to find that out. But I would not have found that out had I not been single, had all of that not happened. So don't assume that I'm unhappy. I'm single. When people ask me, are you single, you divorced, you widowed? I'm like, first of all, none of y'all business that I'm divorced. Why would I ask that question on this? What you need to know that for? So I can, a statistical. I'm just single. You don't need to know all my business, right? Because single to me does not equate to being unhappy anymore. It did for a moment, to be honest. After my divorce, it was a shameful thing. My marriage fell apart. I was ashamed of that. But not anymore.
Will Smith
I think
said,
that you.
good.
I think that you have to kind of, I guess, begin to change the narrative of being single and remove the stigma that you some kind of pariah or whatever because you're single, and it's not the case. It's
Yes.
not the case. People who are single have very full lives, very full lives, very satisfying lives. And it's just not a bad thing. It's just like you had to change the narrative. But again, for me, I had to get there because, like you, Michelle, I was embarrassed, ashamed, and everything when my marriage fell apart. Um, I kind of had to push myself to go out, like even when I know that knew, and still even today know that they're going to be mostly couples. I'm 50. So most of my friends are in a relationship or married. And I am the outlier. I'm single. Um, but I think it's important to just change the narrative and put a more positive spin on it.
And I just want to add to that really quickly, Miss Nichole. I assure you, some of your friends are probably envious of your life. Your married friends are probably wishing that they could be single, that they can just get up and go. They didn't have the responsibility of a husband and a marriage. So you're right about it not necessarily being a bad thing because it depends on how you look at it.
Yes.
Mel said she believes it's good to experience both sides, to see the good and bad on both sides. And she said, very active lives. I'm a witness. And I was going to say, Will Smith and Jada, I know they're in the news a lot about their marriage, but he said something before, like they were having so many problems because they kept dependent on each other to make each other happy, and that they had to learn to find happiness within themselves first. So I think that it's important that if you are single, like you guys keep saying, to try to find that happiness first, so that if you do decide to get married at whatever age, you won't, you can both be whole, two whole people coming together instead of depending on somebody else for your happiness. So that if you do end up single, because it's not necessarily marriages, you could be single because you lose a spouse or whatever, that you're not holding on to someone else for the happiness, getting to know yourself. And here's Monique. She said, this equates to celibacy, and many young women have a desire to be married to have sex. So how do you change the narrative for a single Christian woman who desires sex but is not married?
I think that the church can do a better job of looking at and talking about sexual experiences as well as relationship experiences.
Mm.
I think that we could do a better job of that. I mean, we were raised in some ways to to put a lot. This is my opinion of what I saw and experienced. To put a lot of pressure on, I would say, single women to hold themselves to chastity and wait on their mate, which I think that if that's not a bad thing, if that's what I think that if that you believe to do that, that's a good thing to do. But if you are thinking that sex is going to hold a marriage together, I am here to tell you that that is not true at
Mm-mm.
all, period. Um, those two things, um, you can be in a marriage and not even having sex.
Mm-hmm.
I would, intimacy to me is a level above just having that sexual experience and knowing your own self and getting to know yourself is a part of being intimate with yourself and your knowing your worth. So that if you think, we got to get that fallacy, I'm getting married because I want to have sex. I think that those two things are destructive. And
I agree.
my
I
other
think that
sisters comment.
I think that yeah, getting married just to have sex, you in for a rough ride. Not a good thing. Um, I think that changing the narrative. I think the the foundations, firm foundations of a relationship should be pushed. Respect, consideration. Um, how do we connect from a spiritual perspective? What are our values? What do we see in each other? How do we connect? And to me, sex is overflow of all of that. And of course, should be done within the context of marriage. But we know that sometimes it don't happen like that. But um, to me, I don't honestly, I don't even like if I'm trying to date. I have learned I don't even want to talk about sex.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about you and me and where we come from, what we enjoy, what are our intentions towards each
Yeah.
other, things like that. Because I think once you add sex into anything, you go off on a rabbit trail. But sex within its proper context to me should all just be the overflow of the love that you have, the intimacy that you share with that person.
It's
And
a
And
so,
movement.
if you
It's a movement called
let me just
Sex
say
Can
this
Wait.
briefly. Hmm.
I was
Say that
saying
again.
that if anybody's listening that that's the issue for, there is a movement, it's a group of people in Philly anyway. It's called Sex Can Wait. I think his name is Jeremiah Chase, I believe, and he just recently got married. He was like 27. I think his wife was a little older and they were virgins, but it's a group of Christians who um who that's what they're doing. So if you get around the people that are doing those things, it may be easier um for you to abstain. I don't think it's necessarily changing the narrative if you're around people who are single and having sex, and you're trying to be a single Christian woman who wants to have sex. If you're around those people, it's going to be hard for you. But if you get around a group of people who are
a
doing
community.
what you want to do, there's a community out there, and they're in Philly, and you could just get around them. They have events. They just had a fashion show. Like, they're doing things. So it's going to be, it's harder to do. I don't want to say sin, but it's harder to do certain things if the people you're around are looking at you like, girl, no. So change your environment and you'll change the narrative. Find those people, get around those people, hang with those people, and it'll be easier for you to walk, to be in that walk.
And it's also your conviction. And I'm saying this very seriously. Like, your conviction is your conviction, right? Whatever that may be. So if it is your conviction to remain celibate, you have to know that you're going to come up across some people that are not going to be in agreement with that. And then you, the single person, the one that makes that commitment, has to make a decision at that time. But anybody, I'm going to say this like with some authority, do not get married to have sex.
Yes, thank you.
You know, I'm 99%
You don't even have sex when you get married.
of the people that I'm talking to that's, you know, crying on my shoulder about, oh, I wish I never got married, is because they got married to have sex.
Ain't no sex in marriage.
And I think part of also changing the narrative, just to piggyback off of what B. Michelle said earlier about the church. I know me being a millennial growing up, I was taught just don't have sex, don't do it, just hold out. But realistically, that's not realistic in this day and age. I think a way to change the narrative is to let people know the risk of having premarital sex, and not just STDs, pregnancy, that type of thing, but spiritual battles that you have to go with, soul ties. Like some of those things take years to break. So if we know the risks and things that we may be facing, people may turn away from certain things or try to avoid certain things so they don't have to go down the path of heartache and pain and stuff like that. So that's also a part of changing the narrative. Just being honest with people and letting people know, listen, if you get with the wrong person, it might take you 5-10 years to get this man out of your system. Like your heart, your soul, your mind, your body. That's the real, that's the real problem. So I think that's a part of it.
Ramel says she agrees because a lot of people have sex early and then realize they don't even like the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your body can be responding in that moment, quite well. And then 5 minutes later, you be like, dang, I don't even like them. Like we talking real stuff, right? I don't even like them like that for real because of what Nichole said, because the other connections are missing. Mm-hmm. So I just think that whatever decisions that we make about our mind, our body, and our spirit, we should hold to those convictions. And I do think that even as being Christian women, some of the kind of to answer Monique's question too, some of the issues are when we date Christian men. Now, and this again, this is a disclaimer. We are not talking about all Christian men or all men in general. But the disclaimer is, and that's the disclaimer, but there have been too many times, even in my own personal experience, where, the man would say, well, if you don't give it up,
somebody else will.
Sister right down the aisle waving her hand saying, praise the Lord, will. Bye. And so that's something, and that's exactly what has happened. So we have to be, but if it's my conviction, right? I have to say, what is my conviction to this? Because this is what I want to do with my body. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's my comment there.
Nichole, my question to you is, I know you said after you got divorced, you had to work on being content with being single before you got married. Were you was your aspiration to be married, or were you okay with being single then too?
No, I want to be married and have kids and be independent. They don't even go together, do it. I desired to be married. I wanted to have children. I felt like for me, I wanted to change the trajectory for my family, coming from a family much like Michelle and Mejeran. We had, can't remember nobody that was married out of the women on my mother's side of the family. Strong Black women, single, maybe boyfriends. My mom was married to my father at some point, but I I wanted to change the trajectory for my children and for my family and be the example. And yeah, I desire to be married and have a partner and stuff like that. Yeah, that was a thing for me for a long time. I enjoy being married. I enjoy being a wife. I enjoy being a mother. But when things went bad, they kind of went bad. Like it was like a slow death, a very slow death. And I think after the divorce, I wanted to fill that void because I had been in a relationship for almost 20 some years. You looking to fill the void, you be doing some dumb stuff. And then you kind of like, you go through the rejection piece and all of that. But I've gone to counseling. I had to kind of change my perception and how I was looking at where I found myself. And I had to find myself again. I had to find myself. I had to build myself up, and it's just taking a minute. But yeah, I wanted to be married. I did. I did.
Najera, do you want to be married? Or are you cool with? You seem like you're doing your thing right now. That might slow you up.
Honestly, growing up, I just always assumed it would just happen. It wasn't something I really honestly put much thought into. I just figured I'll position myself. Eventually somebody will find me. But now that I'm almost 35, marriage sounds nice. It's kind of like a bucket list item for me. Like, oh, can I get a husband? Can I do it? But will I die if I don't get married? Absolutely not. I live a very healthy lifestyle. I'm much like Miss Nichole. I travel a lot. I go out into just the city alone a lot by myself. So I don't need a partner to have a good life. But it would be nice. Also, and due to the fact that I'm so independent and I'm actually now currently in a relationship and have been for the last 8 months, I'm seeing how independent I actually am and how much I rely on myself. And it's a struggle to mesh with a partner who's also very independent and used to taking care of themselves and learning how to find equal balance. So yes, marriage would be nice. If it happens, great. I think I'll be a good wife. If it doesn't happen, that's fine too. I have a lot of countries to cross off of my bucket list. So.
We have 2 comments. Romel said the sad part is there are some churchmen who come at you like worldly men and they're in a position, I'm assuming a position in the church. And then she also says sometimes you go to church looking for comfort and some use that as praying, not bashing, but a lot of them have to do better. So anybody want to comment on that? Any experience with that or no?
I've had some very bad experiences with Christian men, but it's not made me want to stop dating Christian men. It just, I feel like everybody has their own individual situation and personality, and one egg doesn't spoil any bunch. But I have had some bad experiences with men of the cloth that were like, you should know better, like for real. I mean, people that were actually like on the pulpit, like you really should know better. And they were the worst. So,
I've had many experiences being single at this particular age. And one of the things I did want to say before we close out, we only have about a couple minutes. So just think really quickly, guys, give us, while I'm ending this part, maybe a minute of your encouragement to single women. But I've had many experiences, good, bad, indifferent, dating Christian men. I have dated after my divorce. And the one thing I do want to say, I'm far from being a millennial anymore. I guess I'm getting close to the eldership, but women of a certain age, don't ever think that we're not vibrant and ready for the way love will come. Because sometimes people look at you of a certain age and figure, well, they don't want to be in a relationship. I don't know what. Some days I want to be in one. Some days I'm like, I'm good. I do feel really healthy physically, emotionally. But I just want to say for women of a certain age, don't think that we may not want to be in a relationship, and just because we are looking for one, that we're desperate, because we're not desperate. We're just like every other single woman. You begin to know your worth. You begin to know exactly what you want and what you can give, and you desire to be in a holy and healthy relationship. That's what I would say. But we're at the end of the show, so 30 seconds each. Messerine and Nichole, what words would you give to the audience to just encourage the single women to keep going, hold the faith? What might you say to someone?
I would just say stay the course. Don't focus so much on being in a relationship. Just
Yes.
focus on living. And when it's meant to happen, it will happen. We know that the Lord can move mountains, and we can't even possibly fathom some of the ways that we may meet our spouses. But when it's supposed to happen, it will happen. And for some of us, it may never happen, and that's okay, because it just might not be meant to be. But you still have to keep on living and keep thriving in life. So that is my advice.
Great. What about you, Nichole?
I think Messerine said it all. I second that. I second that. It's yeah. Singleness is not a awful thing, and when it comes, and you don't have to force anything, and you don't have to lower your standards. And be good with you, and kind of I think it's also good to know if you desire to be in a relationship, you need to be clear on what it is that you're looking for. Be very clear so that when something comes that you're not looking for, you can just be like, okay, next.
Right.
We didn't do our quirky question in the beginning. So I have a question, and then you can wrap up, Miss Michelle. So the question is, what meal could you eat every day for the rest of your life? You get to pick 3 things, but you have to eat it every day, all day for the rest of your life.
I do oxtails, rice and peas, and cabbage.
That's a
I
meal,
say
girl.
steak, macaroni, and cheese, and asparagus.
Asparagus.
Or no, I'm gonna trade out steak for lamb. I eat lamb a lot.
Wow. I'm with the asparagus stuff. Yeah. This has been such a great show. You never know when I might call you guys to come back on again. This was really encouraging. I really appreciate Messerine, because I think she's our first millennial.
Yeah.
It's a younger perspective is always good. You can't discount that.
Yes.
But I also would
millennials in your life.
I think that we should have some single male, because I think that is going to that's a different perspective that I think women need to hear. And we need to delve into that a little bit more, because I think they experience some of the wants and needs and some of the angst of being single just like we do. But we as women kind of just think that they out doing whoever and whomever, and they don't have some of the issues that we experience as single women.
Yes,
well, we may try to do that. And so stay tuned, audience. If you are listening and you think that you have a great topic or a topic that you want to hear or talk about, discuss on the show, we ask you to hit us up. We are open to just talk about all kind of topics. Of course, our show, the foundation of it is faith, hope, and love. So we really try to pepper that and have that throughout as well. But we're open to hear from you. So hit us up on any of our sites, and we'll be glad to discuss those topics with you and get a show together. I am so grateful to be with the famous Khadijah Phillips alter ego, who runs this show. She is doing all kind of things behind the scenes. We're going to give her a hand today. We're going to give her she's going to give you that red top, because it's all of that. And we look forward to seeing you guys on Friday evenings at 6:30 for Sacred Space Ministry, right on Facebook Live on my Facebook page, and right back here on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. We have a really good show next week. I want you guys to prepare for it. We have a practitioner coming on talking about mental health, especially as we get near the holidays, especially as we've gone through almost 2 years of the pandemic. So we want to have some preparation to make sure that we're healthy mentally. So make sure that you join us next week. It has been a wonderful show. Thank you, the beautiful Mezeran. Thank you, the beautiful
Thank you.
Nicole.
Thanks for having me. This
Thank
was
you,
fun.
the beautiful and awesome Khadijah Phillips. And thank you, audience, for being with us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Go in peace and let peace rule your heart.